Welcome to or welcome back to my Styling Your Lolita series where I style your Lolita. Wow, let's take a moment to appreciate how in focus my microphone arm is. Oh, doesn't it look good? Too bad my face doesn't have the same focus. So yeah, I fix my audio and then what happens? I film a video where I myself am out of focus. But this video is really about viewer submissions and your coordinates, so I don't think it matters as much. I swear every mistake is another lesson learned. You would have no idea that I have a film degree and have been doing this for 10 years, but these things happen. I think part of the fact is that I had to record this video at 6 a.m. because the people below this apartment have been blasting music at random times for random lengths of time. I'm even recording this voiceover at 7 in the morning on another day. All this to say, I have been trying to improve my content, but through trial and error, it has caused me to run into several issues in my past couple videos. I'm getting there, I promise. I hope you don't give up on me and still stick around for my videos. For this series, I take submissions by email, and there's more information on how to submit in the description below. This is also the series with the most disclaimers. The advice that I give in these videos you obviously do not have to take, and it is based off of my own personal style within Lolita fashion, which I know is not for everyone. And it might not be the correct advice based off of the Lolita guidelines, rules, whatever, but it's what I think would possibly look cool, and my hope for this series is just to get you thinking of new ways to wear your clothes. This video is sponsored by 42 Lolita. Thank you so much, 42 Lolita. They sent me this beautiful dress and this wig and this headpiece. They sent me 2 other wigs as well. One I will be putting a shorts review and the other one I've worn in a TikTok and people were asking me where it's from. It's from 42 Lolita. 42 Lolita is a Taobao reseller and shopping service. In case you're unfamiliar with how this type of shopping for Lolita works, basically there is a website called Taobao that hosts many different brands within it, but they are primarily only available in China, so you either have to use a shopping service or purchase from a reseller if you are overseas. The way that 42 Lolita works is that they buy large quantities from these shops and then they resell them overseas with a slight markup. And the reason for the slight markup is because they're a business, they have to make a profit. For full transparency, the items from 42 Lolita are not only available on that site, they are available in other places, but 42 Lolita makes it very convenient and easy to shop from. I personally use resellers because I find it really difficult to keep tabs of what Taobao shops are currently running and what pieces are currently available, and like keeping track of pre-orders. And I'm also dyslexic, so the least amount of forms and emails and communicating by text I have to do, the better. I like resellers for the convenience of just clicking and buying. I also find that my shopping style works better for resellers because I tend to just buy 1 or 2 items at a time, and the way to most benefit from using shopping services with Taobao is to do bulk orders because you're going to get lower fees for just the amount of items and for customs and all that stuff. When I have tried to buy 1 or 2 items through a shopping service, it's ended up like quadrupling the price of the item, and it would have been better if I had a large order. So my advice is that if you are interested in shopping with a shopping service on Taobao, reach out to someone in your community, because I find that most Lolita communities, there's like that one person who their brain really works well with planning this sort of stuff out. They will plan like large orders. You can combine shipping that way, combine fees, and that's just the way that I would do it because I do not feel comfortable shopping with a shopping service in Taobao myself, personally. That's why I'm so grateful for shops like 42 Lolita that takes all of that work out of it and you just click and buy. 42 Lolita is not the only shopping service out there, but they pride themselves on having low markup prices and good communication. They also have a lot of things available in their shop that could be used for Lolita fashion or other alternative fashions. I noticed specifically that they have a lot of footwear. They have a lot of boots, which I love, and I will probably be going back for. In this video, I am going to be using primarily pieces that I found from 42 Lolita. That way, if you like them and you want to purchase them, the codes are on screen and you can just look up that number and find that exact piece. Of course, I'm not telling you that you have to buy these pieces. You do not have to buy certain things. I'm using these as a visual example, so you could also use this advice with pieces that you own in your wardrobe, or you could use it for thrifting or secondhand shopping, or you might want to make a piece like this or commission an artist or a seamstress to make a piece like this. I think that about covers all of my disclaimers. There's probably more in the description. I'm sure I'll still get mad comments, but I tried my best. Thank you so much 42 Lolita for helping support the channel, and let's get into your coordinates. So Shrimps is from Chile, and he purchased this dress for $5 at a flea market, and it was just labeled witch dress, which I love. I love hearing stories about people finding Lolita in strange places that aren't meant to be Lolita specifically. There's a hair in my eye. Get out of here. Get. And he wants general advice on how to wear this dress more ways and also in casual ways. I feel like Shrimp's style is very much in line with mine. He's wearing striped tights, so like already spot on perfect. I love these shoes. I love that Shrimps is playing around with the reds in this coordinate. There's quite a lot of colors to pull from in this dress. There is like gold tones, just like warmer tones in general, reds. Definitely a different way to style this dress, and I'm not sure if you're wearing a petticoat or if it's smaller, but experimenting with different petticoat shapes can make a coordinate look so different. This one is definitely really high-waisted, so my general comfort is in cupcake petticoats, and I would wear one like really high up close to that waistband and give it that big poof. But alternatively, you could also wear it a little bit lower and give more of the shape towards the bottom of the dress, or you could play around with a bell shape. I think that depending on what style you're leaning towards, you can kind of mess around with the shape of the petticoat. The first coordinate I chose for Shrimps, I was trying to lean more casual. I think that a statement boot would be really cool with this coordinate to be kind of like the focal point for this, and I chose these relatively safe Antina ones that I found on 42 Lolita, but I think that this is actually a coordinate that you could brave demonias in, or another style of just like kind of over the top boot. I like the idea of having a high boot and then peaking red bloomers. These ones, I don't know, depending on like the length of your dress and where it falls and like the length of your legs, they might not necessarily be peaking. You might have to wear them kind of low on your hips. Alternatively, I found a couple other bloomers, but it really depends. Like, you got to check the measurements and your height and stuff like that to see if they would be peaking. And then I found this head bow, which kind of has like an alternative flare with these little wings, and then it has the red in it as well. So that's kind of my idea for the more casual coordinate, is to just have big boots, big statement boots with peaking bloomers and a more simple headpiece. This type of dress is definitely hard to style because I feel like it takes the work out of it for you, because it is already kind of ornate and decorative. You don't have to add a lot to it, and the areas that you want to add to are not necessarily like on your body, but on your head, on your shoes, at least in my opinion. My other coordinate idea was to just fully lean into this witch idea, because it was a witch dress, and to do a kind of over the top witchy coordinate. So I chose this pretty substantial witch hat, which is quite large, has red, lots of details in it. I also pulled a couple alternative hats that are less over the top. There's kind of a smaller witchy hat option, and then there's more of like a plain kind of goth hat that you could wear with a bunch of different coordinates as well, which is a good thing to consider too, is how the pieces that you're using in your coordinate could style with other dresses or skirts. I really like these lacy design tights. I think that they're really pretty, and they kind of pull the gray tones from the collar into the legwear. And then these very pretty dainty witchy shoes are a pretty way to pull it all together. Shrimps, I hope that helps, and I would love to see your updated coordinates. Kelsey has this beautiful commissioned dress from Kitty Kaya that is circusy, and I don't know if this is a one-of-a-kind piece. They didn't send in a stock photo, so I tried to find a stock photo of this dress, but I couldn't. So I screenshotted a picture of Kitty Kaya's TikTok about making this dress, and the only instances of this dress on the internet I could find were Kelsey's pictures and then Kitty Kaya making it for Kelsey. So is this a one-of-a-kind dress? Because it's really cute, and I know a lot of people would really like to wear it. Curious to know. I built my coordinates off of the screenshot because I feel weird tampering with people's photos. I don't want to like Photoshop over top of them. It feels weird. I want to like separate the coordinate from the person. So I did that. I love this dress, this print. It's so cute. There are so many fun colors in it to play with. And this is actually more difficult for me because I have so many ideas. It's not just like one or two things to swap out. It's just like, especially circus. Circus is like one of my passions in styling. So this one might be a little bit rambly. I'm going to take a brief break from 42 Lolita. I think that they will understand because currently they don't have a lot of circus, clown, or jester things in the shop. That might change. Obviously, this dress is very circusy and it's from them, but when it came to other pieces, couldn't find much right now, but their stock does change regularly, so obviously keep tabs on it, keep checking in. If you, Kelsey, don't already follow Dandy Puppeteer, you need to, because their products are something that would be right up your alley, I think. I think that there's a lot of pieces that you would really like. I think that Dandy Puppeteer's Jester set would be really cute with this. I'm not sure if the bow on the chest of the Kitty Kaya dress is removable, but if it's not, you could still part the Jester collar on either side of it, and it could be a nice way to bring more focus to it, especially with the white set. Because this dress is so colorful already, it'll make kind of sections of color to bring that out more. The bow on the Dandy Puppeteer collar is removable, so you can also play around with that. You could put it somewhere else. I had a lot of questions with legwear for this one because my heart instantly was like striped tights, circus, striped tights, and I was thinking of Dandy Puppeteer's blue and pink ones. I feel like the colors within the performers in the print and then also the elephant, I feel like those pinks and blues would look really cute in legwear. But then the reason why I didn't go with it is because there's also stripes right at the bottom of this dress, so I was questioning, is it gonna look strange to have stripes and then stripes? I don't know. Sometimes you kind of do, especially with clowny or circus inspired coordinates, you can get away with those kind of strange clash of patterns. But I just wasn't sure. I'm curious how we are all feeling about ombre tights. I feel like they were really popular in the 2010s and now I never see them. Yeah, I want to know your opinions because sometimes things go out of fashion in the mainstream, but they're still like wearable in Lolita, or sometimes vice versa. Really curious to hear your thoughts. I also chose these really cute tea parties that are from 42 Lolita. I just feel like the scallop details and the white and blue bring back in the Jester collar. It adds more flair to your feet. But I want to go back to legwear because I have a sidebar tangent that I haven't had a chance to talk to yet, and I want to. I think that this will look really cute with split tights, two-tone tights, where one leg is one color and one leg is another color. And I don't know where to find those. I normally look at Sock Dreams for my tights and sock needs. They were pretty low in stock right now when I happen to be looking, but their stock changes regularly. I don't know that this works with this coordinate, but I found these eyeball tights and I just wanted to mention them in case anyone watching has a coordinate that would look cool with these. I feel like my cord would kind of work with these tights. They're just so fun. But if you can't find tights that are two-tone, you could play around with thigh-high socks. Now, thigh-high socks in Lolita, it's not really relevant because you're not going to see where they end because Lolita's length is going to cover them, but you could play around with it, and I personally love thigh-high socks so much. I wear them all the time in my daily life. My home wear outfit is usually underwear, an oversized shirt, and thigh-high socks. Like, that's what I live in. I personally don't fit into the standard one size thigh-high socks, and I buy most of mine from Sock Dreams or from Thunda Thighs. I feel so silly saying that, but I discovered this brand in October and I haven't had a chance to talk about them. In the past, I used to think that I just couldn't wear thigh-highs and they weren't for me. And then once I found shops that sold them in different sizes and they could fit me, I fell in love with them. And I think that like this bubblegum and this blue raspberry would be so cool to wear as a two-tone with this coordinate. And I think that a benefit to having these socks as well is that you can wear them in other areas of your life. I absolutely love having an outfit to change out of my Lolita when I go to conventions or events that are a long day. So you could potentially wear these socks with your coordinate and then have like cute shorts underneath it and bring a cute t-shirt. I know Kitty Kaya makes t-shirts. Bring the t-shirt. At the end of the day, have a bag to put your dress in, take off your coordinates, and just wear the cute thigh highs with shorts with the t-shirt. I hope that this is relevant to someone, whether you use it in or out of Lolita, but I really wanted to talk about thigh highs. The headpiece for this coordinate I think would be cute just with the head bow it came with, but I'm also in love with jester hats and I have a really hard time finding them. There is an Etsy seller called Mountain Goth and they make quite a few different jester hats and the style is a bit more casual. It's kind of like a beanie as a jester hat, but I think that you could potentially stuff it to make it look more OTT. I think that these colors would look really cute with this coordinate. Beholder Fashions has a lot of headpieces that are really cute with Lolita, including this mini jester hat, which would be cool with it. And you can commission it in different colors. But that's about it for jester hats. I really have a hard time finding them. And I feel like there's a market for them because every time I wear the one that I have, I get so many comments about it. So stores that make clown stuff maybe make jester hats. I know that like Lolita is already a niche and then clown and jester themes within Lolita is a niche within a niche, so it's hard to sell because it's not as large of an audience, but I feel like there is a small demographic for it. Another coordinate style to wear with this dress would be to have kind of an elegant, I was thinking like Phantom of the Opera style jester clown where you wear long opera gloves with these little puffy sleeves, kind of add some cute interest there. And then have a long underskirt, long petticoat to make the dress look more ball gowny. I'm not sure what petticoat to recommend for this because I can't tell from the photo like how tall you are, how long this dress is, and my instincts are to go for a cupcake shape, which you could wear at your waistline. It gives it this nice poof. But if it's too short and the dress is longer than it, it'll have this like nice shape and then it'll just drop off and be kind of flat. So you might need something that is more bell-shaped or just longer in general. I would honestly ask Kitty Kaya because she made the dress, she's most familiar with it, and she also styles models in fashion shows, so she's kind of familiar with the pieces and how she styles them and what kind of petticoats she uses. I'm honestly a terrible petticoat advice giver because for many years now I've been wearing the same cream and sugar Lolita petticoat, Wonderwelt petticoat, and Me Likes Tea. Just the same three ones over and over again. The other petticoat I have is like a weird square dancing one that my friend altered for me. Those are the only petticoats I wear and know. I would definitely recommend checking out Fluffy Kawaii Jo's video that's like the ultimate petticoat guide. She goes through so many different brands and it could give you more ideas of what to get. Like when it comes down to it, it's your personal choice and what you feel comfortable with, so definitely check it out. And yeah, I would love to see your updated coordinates. I really want to see more looks with this dress because it's so beautiful. So Valentine.bearss asked for advice around accessories, hair, and makeup, but hair and makeup are not really part of a coordinate, so I didn't make you a coordinate. I'm sorry, I hope that's okay. I just wanted to answer the things that you were looking for. I remember during my Fixing Coord series, someone left a comment that was saying your hair is not really part of your coordinate, And that resonated with me so much because for such a long time, I thought of it as part of the whole package, that it was like a requirement to kind of go with your look. I know today I'm not a very good example because I did intentionally do this, but you don't have to. And it's kind of this strange idea to think that you can control your hair with your clothes. I don't think it's entirely relevant. I think that you can kind of do whatever with your hair as long as it's like an intentional style. It doesn't have to be like this fully cohesive thing, which I just wanted to mention because I know there's a lot of pressures around hair and hairstyles, and I don't think that you need to have it be a certain way to have a fully styled coordinate. Same with makeup. You don't need to wear makeup. If you want to wear makeup, by all means go for it, but makeup is not a requirement in Lolita. This dress has carousels, music, candy canes, and balloon bears, so of course it's giving me circusy vibes, so I'm gonna lean into some clown makeup. I basically went through my saved images on Instagram of makeup inspiration and just wanted to show a few examples. Lil Cult Bab, of course, is always a huge inspiration to me. They do a lot of cool clown looks, and they also have tutorials on their Instagram, so definitely worth checking out. I've recently been really leaning into this partial clown look where the shapes are outlined and you don't have a full white base, and I feel like it's a little bit more wearable, like both physically because there's less makeup on your skin. For me, there's still foundation, but it still feels physically lighter than wearing a clown base. And I feel like it also is a little less extreme and wearable day to day, like you can go out in it. I know my like level of what's normal or comfort is like very different than a lot of people, I know. Eva Destruction is a huge inspiration to me and a friend of mine that I admire so much. And even if you're not going to necessarily do this full drag makeup look, I think that there's elements that you can take from it, like the eyeliner shape, the use of colors, and do it in like a more toned down way. Or you could go full drag, by all means do it. Lastly, Beth Mello, I don't know personally, so I hope that it's okay that I'm sharing her page, but she does a lot of really cool makeup looks as well. In terms of accessories, I noticed that you're at an alternative store of some sort, so you're probably brave enough to be a little experimental and outside of the norm. I saw this harness and I was thinking that this dress would look cool with a harness. I'm all for styling harnesses into Lolita fashion. I have a video idea where I want to experiment with that more, so stay tuned for that in the future. But on 42 Lolita, I found this really cool corset waist pendant. I don't know, it's like straps to add on to a outfit. It is intended for OG, but I feel like this shape could also work with Lolita and it could add some cool strappy doodads and interest. And of course, it wouldn't be a lovely lore styling video if I didn't recommend a beret. I think that a really cute look with short hair is to sort of pull some pieces as bangs or as side bangs and then hide the rest of your hair in a beret and adjust the beret so that it's kind of standing upwards or out like a halo almost on your head. And I think that's an adorable look for Lolita, and it kind of, for me at least, creates this comfort of having a larger shape here and then being balanced with the rest of your kind of larger coordinate shape without having to have big hair. Atsui wants help with princess coronation, headpieces, and blouses. All right. So it looks like this dress is a JSK, but I could not find photos of it without a blouse, so I poorly photoshopped it. My Photoshop skills are not the best, all right? So please brace yourself. You can laugh, but here we go. So this is my attempt at showing princess coronation without a blouse because I think that it could be really pretty to wear with opera length gloves. Because there's these little frills here, I think it's okay to show a little bit of shoulder, and then have that nice continuation and elegance in your arms. The headpieces that I chose I think would be cute with opera length gloves and no blouse, because it has a veil and it's kind of over the top already, and then your hair is a little bit poofy. I feel like if there was a blouse, collar, and sleeves, it might just be too clustered in this area, and that's why I was thinking of just removing it. I can't tell with Princess Coronation what's going on with the neckline, and that's something to consider when you're looking at blouses. It looks like there's details like here, but I can't tell if that's the blouse that you're wearing with it and it actually ends here. So I chose this blouse because it has kind of an open neckline that you can mess around with. If it feels too open though, you could wear like a collar or a necklace there. I just love these sleeves. They're so pretty. I think that it would be really pretty with this dress. I also chose another one with a kind of similar sleeve style, but it's also a little bit less ornate, less detailed, just for comfort's sake and to make the dress itself stand out more. And then another option I think could be to wear a open shoulder crop blouse underneath it that's black and kind of give it a different look, because the cream is kind of giving it that pop, but then the black could blend into it and make it look more like a one piece, and this could be a great option for when it gets warmer. I think that this would look cute with like gloves that go to here and have a frill. I found this head bow on 42 Lolita that is kind of like a rectangle head bow shape, but it's just bows, which I think is a really cool and really universal piece. I think that about wraps it up. If you have any advice for these Lolitas, please leave it in the comments below, because it's always good to hear from different people with different perspectives and different styles and different knowledge in Lolita fashion. As always, stay lovely. I quickly wanted to mention I have a private Patreon Discord server now. It's a really wholesome, small community of Lolitas. Any tier above my first one on Patreon has access to it, and it has been a lot of fun. Check out my Patreon for more info if you are interested in joining.